Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper. Today we are at Jay's Coffee Creamery here in Tema. It's a great little cafe that is in Community 6. You can get some really good food, some good service, and just have a nice quiet moment to do some work, catch up with some friends, or just experience something a little different outside of a crowd. Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper, and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. Today, I am really excited to have this conversation with Tony and Ayo. Some of you may follow them already because I get messages from some of you about what's going on with Tony and Ayo. So I decided to have a chat with them today so I can update you. And if it's your first time here and you haven't seen who they moved from Texas to Ghana 4 years ago. And so 4 years ago, I reached out to them because I was curious to know what their motivation was about moving to Ghana. And that was COVID pandemic times. So everybody was doing virtual interviews. So it wasn't uncommon to reach out to somebody to do one. So we had a great conversation. And then eventually, when the doors opened up to Ghana, they moved to Ghana with their children. And so 4 years later, they are still here. And they have been telling so many stories about their experiences. And I'm excited to chat with them today about where they're at. And they were on a TV show called Coming from America on HBO Max. So if you haven't caught it, you need to catch it. So today, Tony and Ayo, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule.
Anytime for you. What are you talking
Thanks
about?
for having us, Ivy. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, I love you guys. It's so great.
Oh, the love is mutual.
So we're sitting here at this cafe. We're Tema people.
Yeah.
We are
yeah,
Tema
we are
people.
Tema people.
Yes, everybody's always in Accra and all these places.
Tema people.
We are Tema people.
So I'm glad that we got to sit down today and just have a conversation. So I want you to introduce yourselves because there are people who may have never seen you before. Although there are people who know you, there are some who've never seen you before. So if you can introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I'm Tony. This is my wife, Ayo, and we document our move from Texas to Ghana as we go beyond the return.
So to give it a little detail, I am a daughter of a Ghanaian. So the homecoming is a little different for the two of us, which I always kind of think feeds into the storyline. So I started coming to Ghana when I was just one. But Tony is a African American. Black American?
Black American, yeah.
So your first visit was 2016. So we kind of come at this whole move to Ghana thing from different perspectives. But that's where we are. I did not think we were going to come and move here
And stay
so
like
early. No.
Plant roots here. And,
No. But you came, he came for 2016 and then 2019 for Beyond the Return. And I think that first trip in 2016, changed how you thought about Africa.
Right. And the second trip changed how I thought about myself.
How?
I spent more time here. It was like 2 months that second trip. And what I found coming here was the welcoming was so overwhelming that I didn't want to leave. All I heard was, "Oh, welcome home, my American brother." And after a while, it just really felt like I really was home, that I'd been away, to some place and came back home, and all these people were just happy to see me. So that changed me. And there were some issues happening in the States at the time that I just didn't want to be part of. And I just felt like, hey, I really could do this. So that changed my perspective of living in Africa and Ghana.
It's really interesting, actually. I always like to give a little context to this one because in 2016, when we were first coming, like our first trip, we wanted to come when our youngest was still free fly. So we were like, if they're under 2, they fly free. And I was like, we have to go while we can get this free flight going on. So I was like, Tony, let's go. We're going to go for like 8 weeks. What do you think? And he looked at me like I must be absolutely out of my mind. And he was like, 2 weeks. And I was like, no. You fly all the way over there. We got to stay like at least a month.
Yeah.
And he was like, 2 weeks. So we fought, like this was like, we went back and forth for a while. Finally, we settled on like 3 weeks. I got 3 weeks out of him. And when he first landed and started to kind of settle in.
Like the second day in.
The second day?
The second
day, I was like, yeah, you should have fought more for a longer time because I'm like, 3 weeks is not going to be enough to take all this in.
Yeah.
So the next trip was that 2-month trip. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave. She could have went back and
And
brought
left you-
all the stuff. I would have been happy here waiting on her.
I mean, that was really the only reason that we went back was because I had to go back to work. So it was like, I think you would have stayed. He would have stayed without me.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, we're all gonna get on the plane and go back.
So we just took that next year, made the arrangements we needed to, and we booked that trip one way, and here we are 4 years later.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so weird. Sometimes I look back at how this started and like the journey that got us here and then where we are now, and I try to piece it back together. Like, what were we
Right.
thinking? How did we even do this? But definitely one of the craziest things to consider, insane to execute, but so worth it. So worth it to see how he is in this place, how we are in this place, and then how the kids are in this place. It's just
How are the kids?
now we have
Oh,
our two youngest
yeah,
with
yeah.
us. So we've got our 9-year-old now, and at this point, he spent half of his life in Ghana. I mean, like, we've been here over 4 years, and he's
Ghanaian.
he
Yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
He and then our 15-year-old is not as much, right? Like, he definitely is having a different type of experience. And our 20-something-year-old daughter came a couple years ago to join us, and to see her moving around in like this 20-something Ghana, it just
Yeah.
like they're all having such different experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even to them sometimes it's different from what they thought of themselves.
Right. It definitely is something that can be very life changing.
Oh yeah.
People don't realize how much we take for granted, how much even within knowing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So being here challenges you in different ways that you don't get challenged back in North
yeah.
American living.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know, like having to come up with a strategy of how you're doing something because you know the system might not be easily going in your favor, is something that teaches you this level of patience that you think you never had.
Yeah. You find a whole new level of patience here in Ghana, whether it's
Whether you want to or not.
right, yeah.
By
Whether
force.
it's driving or dealing with the bureaucracy here, you have a new level of patience.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, people complain that the lights go out and things like that. I'm like, but you know what? When the lights go out, nobody. It's hey, everybody's just well, the lights are out. You know, no big deal.
I don't know about that.
Like,
We're both like,
Well, maybe that's my circle. We're like, oh yeah, the lights go out. Hey,
the club is still cold. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go find where they have cold club at. You know, so I guess for me and my circle, things are a little different than, you know, the people who need that electric.
you know what I do notice in the area that I'm in is when the power goes out, that people are all coming outside and they
Right.
sit outside
Sit outside.
with their chairs and
Right
then
in
they're
the
having
street or
conversation with each
Yeah.
other.
It's a community, and
We suffer as a
yeah,
community.
yeah. It's right, yeah. And then when the lights come on, everybody cheers in the neighborhood, and it is definitely, you know, your community living and community raising your children. I that is really emphasized here. Leo can ride his bike 5 minutes from the house to the office, and in that 5-minute drive, he's picked up a string of friends that if I walk in,
He's
oh hi
crazy.
Leo's dad. I'm like, I don't know you. Oh
This
hey,
is-
how are you, sir? You're Leo's dad. I'm like, this is a grown man
I
telling
was
me
like, I know, right?
you're Leo's dad. So the community really look out for the kids,
Yeah.
and that's something that, you know, you hear takes a community to raise a kid, but you actually see it here.
Yeah.
And
You
I
definitely-
love that.
Well, and I think that's, you know, that's the other part of the conversation is like, you do have to have a plan for the challenges. You do have to accept that life is not going to be exactly like it is in America. But in exchange for that, you get something that is almost like you can't replicate in
Right.
the US. And when we talk about Leo, sometimes he will go out and he knows street lights come on and he has to get home. And I love that because I feel like that's how
We
that was
used to
like,
be.
that's how
We used to be.
Right.
In our generation, it was
Yeah.
like the street lights come on and you're rushing to get back home so you don't get in
Mhm.
trouble.
You don't get in trouble.
Yeah.
And so he's getting that. And I know that Luke didn't get that when he was that age, because we were in a pretty well-off, nice neighborhood with a lot of kids, and our neighborhood did look out for one another, but it wasn't with this level of freedom and with this level of peace on our end. You know, it was always still kind of like, who's going to sit out in the driveway so we can just keep an eye, or, you know, what mom are you with, so that I know you have to be with a certain person, and then when you leave, you have to come right home. You can't. Leo's out sometimes. Not.
Yeah, he'll leave 12 in the afternoon, come back 6:15, and we're like, okay, he's good.
And I think a lot of people do look up for each other, and there's not this fear between each other. So, like, for example, you'll be sitting somewhere and someone has a baby, and they'll just pass the baby to you because they need to do something real quick, then come back for the baby.
Yes.
You would
never do that.
No, not at all. Not at all. That happened to me on the plane.
Passing the baby to a stranger.
I mean, you're not a stranger. We're family. You hold this baby.
That happened to me on a plane going to Tamale, where there was a family of like mom and a dad and with 3 little kids, and the dad was at his wit's end with the 2 youngest, and he just looked at me and said, "Oh, please, Charlie," and I just held the baby until the mom could get settled.
Yeah.
But it was just, he just looked around, and my hands were open. He said, "Oh, please, Charlie." I said, "Okay."
You know, there's no way to replicate it. You can't get that.
I would give and you see people coming up to your baby, and they're like, "Oh, no, get away from my kid, lady. I don't know you." But here it's
different.
Yeah.
People come and hug and come and have some food. Do you want something to eat? And
everywhere you go, you're invited. Yeah. Okay, I just ate, but I'll sit down with you. Yeah. Okay. It's a really, I feel home here. You know, it changed me into the whole Black American, African American thing. What I found is that, you know, if you have melanin, you're from here. You come here, you're going to have a sense of belonging. The people will make sure, the Ghanaian people will make sure you're recognized as one of theirs. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Been here 4 years. I can't wait to see what the next 4 years are going to bring. But I tell everybody, you know, just come and experience Ghana just for a little bit, and you'll come back. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is with you, there's a lot of people who I've been in contact with who, when they mention they watch your channel, they'll be like, "Yeah, I watch those people from Texas. Tony, he's Ghanaian and his wife is African American." So it's like people got it all mixed up.
They have it mixed up. Yeah.
And they do it all the time when we go places. We'll go places. I think it was even like we went to the bank or something, and they were saying you can only open it if you're Ghanaian. And I was like, "Yes, okay." And he's like, "So you'll need to go get him." And I was like, "Him? No, it's for me. I'm the Ghanaian." And he looked at me again. He's like, "So you'll need your husband." And I was like, "Why do I need him?" It was just they look and they don't make that connection. So it happens all the time.
What's really weird is people will just come up to you and start speaking Shri or
all
God,
the time.
and I'm like, "Oh no," and they'll switch to a different language. "Oh no, I'm from the States." "Oh, but you're Ghanaian." I said, "Well, no, not really."
But you look like it.
Yeah,
you have the features as a Ghanaian man.
Yeah.
So like I can see how people get.
Yeah, as long as I keep my mouth closed, they don't know, and I can nod just at the right time, laugh at the right time, and they say, "Oh, really? You didn't know what y'all was saying?" Didn't know nothing.
So to set the record straight,
she's the Ghanaian.
I'm the Ghanaian. He is the American.
Yeah.
And I have to go back because I just want to say that we told him before he came that first trip that it was going to be different. It was going to be something. And my dad would tell you all the time. And I think we collectively tell people the same message all the time. But I really just don't think that you can understand the depth of what the experience is like until you actually set foot. And it doesn't take long, but you have to actually come. No one can explain to you the way that it shifts you inside of yourself, the way it shifts how you think about yourself and your place in this world and the options that are available to you. And, just.
I use the jollof analogy. Everybody says he has the best jollof until you come to Ghana and taste the jollof. They say, "Oh, I don't know what the other stuff was," So I think of it like that. It's you come and experience it, then you'll know. You can't. Everybody's going to hype something up to get you there, but you don't have to hype Ghana up. It's hype.
Yeah.
And I love it. Love it.
Ghana really has had a legacy of being Pan African, throughout
Mm-hmm. Right.
its lifespan since the beginning of the first president, President Kwame Nkrumah, because he lived in the U.S. and came back
Mm-hmm.
and was very passionate about connecting
Yes.
the diaspora with Ghana. And since then, there's been waves of people coming,
Yeah.
different time periods, and this particular generation, we're seeing a lot of these people who would have never in their life thought about coming, that now
Right.
suddenly they're like, yeah, Ghana's
Right.
lit, Ghana's
Yeah.
lit, Ghana's lit. So it's really interesting to see how things have really shifted. I have a friend who recently was in the U.S. and she was telling me that she's like, the Ghana brand is huge.
Mhm.
And she's like, when she would mention that she's Ghanaian, people would just be, oh, Ghana, Ghana,
Yeah.
Ghana. It's like the brand has really
Yes.
taken off.
Yes, it has.
Like so much to the point that you had the producers of Coming from America approach you about doing the
Right.
show. How
Yeah.
did that come together?
Wow. We just got a email one
Yeah,
day.
we don't refuse interviews.
Interviews,
So we kind of, when we first started, we were like, if somebody wants to talk about Ghana, we're going to talk about Ghana. So we've gone on podcasts with people who only have like 100 listeners, and we're like, well, come, sure. So somebody had sent us an email
Mm-hmm.
about doing, having a conversation about Ghana, and we're kind of like, oh yeah, okay. And then when we watched the show, we're like, that's video from that conversation we had that time. I guess I didn't realize that they were recording us, and that was like, maybe we didn't have all the details, but every time they would ask questions, we would just answer. That was really...
Yeah, so it just fell in our lap. They were like, you guys want to do this reality TV show? We're like, yeah, sure. And we kind of forgot about it for a while, and then they popped up. Yeah, we're going to start shooting,
You're like, what?
here's the contracts, and, get with your lawyers. And
it was like, wait, oh, okay.
Yeah, it went. That was a couple of years ago now.
Yes.
So it's just coming out. Like you said, coming from America, streaming on Max. It was a great experience because it's a lot of the producers and TV crew that came, it was their first time. So for them, just welcoming them in, it was fun because they didn't know what to expect. When they got here, a couple of them like, yeah, we're supposed to leave Friday, but I'm going to stay till Tuesday. And they didn't want to leave because they were here for work, and all they saw was things that, hey, I want to see more about this, more about that. So they extended their stay.
And the crew, too, was made up of Ghanaians and Americans. So they had a mixed crew. And so I think just having the experience that they did where they weren't in like a bubble and they were out and kind of doing things, and they had this local connection, and they still reach out and talk about okay, I'm coming next summer, can we do this or that? So they enjoyed the experience too. But I think the best part was thinking about it in terms of just the way that the show was able to highlight what Africa is really like. I feel like we're kind of getting over the branding hump of the like 80s Kunta Kinte kind of like living in huts and I don't know, just kind of into this new space where people can really see with their own eyes that the African experience is not a village life.
So in the show, they had 3 families that were in Ghana and then one that was in Zambia.
Yes.
So I thought that was cool, showing another African country, because it also had a perspective of showing that it's not always in huts, because they were living in a very nice
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody
I think we're in the smallest.
I know, we were kind of we were in the smallest house, for sure.
Yeah. But I'm glad that it showed, like, the Kelly family were living in a $5,000 US a month house, and we were in this little 300, a month little thing. And there's so much that, opened their eyes to, okay, it's not such an easy thing to just up and move your roots to a different country. So I think for them, their experience was, okay, let's rethink this Ghana move, because, people think, oh, you're moving to Africa, it's going to be cheap. No, it's really not cheap. So it showed the realism of, have a plan to come here, because you're going to need financial backing to come here. You're going to need some money in your pockets to move around and live a comfortable life. And I'm glad it showed that it's not you're just going to come here and ball out. That doesn't happen here unless you got ball out.
Unless you're
money.
ball out before you get here, you can ball out all you want.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there's a lot of people who come for the holiday experience. Then when they want to move, they realize the holiday experience is not the same as actually living. They come and they're like, "What? I was here." So I met a lot of people who said they came in December, had their fun, partying every single day, all these events, activities, festivities. They're like, "Wow, this is Ghana's like all the time."
Yes.
Then they move and they're like, "Oh, it's not like that." No, people aren't partying
every day,
365 days a year. December, yes, a lot of things are happening.
Everything
and yes,
happening.
during the year, people do go out and do things.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not at the intensity of
No.
December.
Well, and not at the volume, too. We see so many tourists and people in the diaspora coming home during that time that it really is kind of, it is the party time. There's something else going on there.
Yeah, definitely. So now the show is what, was it 6 episodes or 7
It was
episodes?
6 episodes. Yep, 6 episodes.
And so I haven't finished watching it. I watched the first 3 episodes. For those of you who don't want spoilers, you can fast forward. But I want to know, how did the show wrap up with everybody in the show? Did everybody stay in Ghana and Zambia, or did some people decide to leave? Do you know?
I don't know if we even,
or if they didn't even wrap it up. Like
when the show ended, everyone felt connected to Ghana and wanted to continue staying. But the reality of the idea of making that decision and the reality of following through with that are definitely 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
So we, of course, had the benefit of we were already here, so we had already come to the conclusion and started the journey. The other families were really starting theirs off, and I don't know what's going to happen in terms of this transition between the idea and the reality. So it has been some time.
Yeah,
but
I think the family in Zambia may still be there. I'm not sure, but I know they had like a 2 or 4 year contract.
They had a 2-year contract. Gabe, the husband, did have a 2-year contract with the school that he was working with.
Right.
So they stayed because they fell through the contract, and he did renew his contract. So he was a 4-year contract.
Yeah, but I think the other 2 families did go back. But I'm not sure if they have come back. I talked to Gerald Kelly about coming in December, but nothing really panned out. But it's eye opening when you get here. It's like, oh wow, it's really nice. I want to see more of it, but prices.
Yeah. I also think people have to think about how they're going to make their money when they come, because a lot of times people don't think about that. They think they can just jump in and do the same thing they were doing back home, and the environment's not the same as far as like what salaries are. If you're coming to just look for a job, or are you coming to be an entrepreneur? Are you going to come, because I find that people tend to be more successful when they figure out a way to create something that will be their business, that will be bringing money in, or if they have something that they're doing remotely, where they're getting money from abroad, that's helping them support what they're doing here.
For sure.
I find that those are usually the best ways. Or if they have money already when they're coming and they invest in like real estate or something, or business, that could be something that could be.
We found that the people that come to Ghana using our services and things like that, they are at that point where they're investors or they're looking to retire. Very few people are coming looking for jobs, and we discourage that. We're like, oh, you're coming looking for a job? Oh, wrong country. Wrong country. But if you're coming to look to invest or help develop things like that, definitely there's room for you here. But young lady was asking, I'm looking, do remote work as a nurse. You think I can? Nope, you can't come here and do remote. Maybe if there's an elderly person in diaspora that may need you or something like that, but nope.
The plan really matters. Like the plan really does. My dad and several of his friends went abroad, either to UK, Canada, or to the US. And there's like this little group of them that all went abroad to study. And their whole thing, as they were all abroad, they all knew they wanted to come back home. And I think they all have made it back in retirement back home. So as they were doing this, they would say the same thing, which is you have to come up with a way to generate a broad income that you then spend in Ghana. So that was always it. Like whether you have a house in the US and you're charging rent, whether you have a business that you can do e-commerce from the US or that you're earning dollars, or from the UK. So whatever it is that is part of your plan, you really want to be thinking about how to generate money abroad to spend here. That gives you the best quality of life with the most opportunity for calm and hustle-free lifestyle.
I mentioned to people who, if they really are insistent on getting a job, because I do get people in my DMs who are like, they really want to come and get a job. I tell them, well, if that's what you want, because they say they're not entrepreneurial, they'd rather just go do their time, come home, get their check. And I say the only way that you can really be making good enough money to sustain a lifestyle, the same lifestyle you were having back home, is if you're working with an international company where you are recruited from abroad. Because I know somebody who was recruited with a multinational company, like a company that has offices all over the world. And if they have an office here and they've recruited you from there, then they'll negotiate a U.S. salary. When you come, they might negotiate a car for you. Because I know somebody who had that happen. Worked in the tech
take care of your visa. They take
So everything was taken care of for him when he came. Those instances doesn't even provide a permanent situation, because a lot of times these are contracts. It might be 1 or 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 max, and then you got to find something else to do, because once your contract is done,
you're done.
You're done.
You're done.
What are you gonna do now? Right.
So, you really have to have it planned out, or it's going to be just you're coming here temporarily, have an experience for 3 to 5 years working for an international company, going back.
I didn't have a plan coming here. I was going to retire with my dad.
Shut up! I had a plan.
She had a plan.
I had a plan.
She had a plan.
Don't hear that like we didn't have a plan.
I was coming here to retire Pop. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I was retired, coming to retire Pop, and that was my plan. So this whole Expat Life Ghana thing was her idea, but the transportation and the
we have to rephrase that. The idea, the channel was my idea, because so many people, when we said we were like considering moving to Africa and we were thinking about relocating to Ghana for a few years, they would just look at us like clutch my pearls. Wait, what? And it would be like, you know, my dad's Ghanaian, so we're just kind of like, we're going home, and they'd be like, is everything okay? Or are you going to do mission work? That was my second favorite. Where I'd be like, no, actually not. So, I mean, I think the channel part was just, how can we get information about the reality of what is going on outside of the US so people could see for themselves. But the transportation part.
It started like, hey, I'm coming in at the airport and I don't know anybody. Can you come get me? You know somebody can come get me? Oh, I'm not doing anything. I'll come get you.
It really was like that.
So that was happening every week, a couple times a week. And I was like, well, okay, that's a little business here. So started the transportation business. Then it turned to, hey, can you take me to Cape Coast?
Yeah.
For the tour. Yeah, okay. So that started day trips.
Yeah.
Then it turned to
do you know of a place to stay?
You know of a place to stay. Well, I got a buddy who has a place, and you know, after a while he like, you're sending too many people to me. Get your own place. So it slowly just started building into, you know, now we do full tours year round. And it's just started from taking people back and forth to the airport.
And he really would. He would take them out of the airport and then take them go get something to eat so that they could have a first good meal.
That's the kind of person you are.
Yeah. So I was just helping people, and then out of that, every opportunity that, you know, I saw, I was just taking advantage of. So I tell people, you know, there are plenty of opportunities here. If you come and just walk down the street, you'll see 5 or 6 of them that you can, you know, put some money behind, get into it, and you got your own business that will be profitable here.
Yeah. And one of the things I tell people sometimes is exporting. Like, you know, there's people who I know of who come here, and like I know somebody who comes like 4 times a year and comes and just buys a lot of
shea butter,
a lot of the arts and crafts and stuff, and then takes it back and sells it at different events that happen. Right. The events that are happening usually through March and October. There's a lot of festivals throughout the U.S. and this person sells things at these different festivals.
Yeah.
And so there's that. And then there's also people I know who sell things from the north, like some of the woven things they sell from the north and sell it abroad. So it's like you can come here and find
For sure.
things here that are creative and people love over there and will spend their money on.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
for sure.
I did that like my first, no, the second,
Yes, the second trip we did like
yeah,
handcrafts and custom crafts, but
bags and
you know,
jewelry and stuff.
it wasn't.
Back.
Yeah, it wasn't really like
It wasn't his thing.
it wasn't his thing, and
Yeah.
it definitely
But
wasn't my thing.
I saw
so-
business there though, that business
Yeah.
idea that you just said,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, that's
Yeah,
something
it's
that
a
really
business.
is.
If you're passionate about
right.
it, you can really
Oh,
make.
for
So
sure.
Right.
I mean, I know of somebody who said that he's making like he's making six figures
Mhm.
Absolutely.
selling.
You absolutely
you know,
can.
And-
identifying which ones are moving.
But that's the part,
That's the
right?
thing.
Like you
Yeah.
can't just invent this in your head and then come and think like, oh, I'm just going to make it work. It's like you really do have to come and see what it is really like and what really makes sense in terms of what you're willing to do or how often you're willing to do it. So it's just that you have to be maybe open.
And then having the patience working with the people here who are making the product, because one of the things here is people have more of a relaxed, laid back attitude towards everything, whereas we're coming from an environment where mass production,
Right.
fast. So it's like you may be working with someone and you're like, I need 100 baskets. And they'll be like, okay, I'll get to that.
Okay.
I'll be doing it. And you're like, hurry up, I need it. So you have to have the patience to be like, okay, let me come in January to make the order that I need in May,
Right.
so that I can get all of these
the one
baskets
time
done
you're ready
Yes.
to go,
and
I
then
get it.
them ready for the spring summer season.
So you
Instead
need
of-
the patience and you also need the experience to translate. When
Yes.
someone says, yes, okay,
They don't
you have to,
always
that's
know
not
what you need.
that's not exactly what that meant.
I'm on the motorway. I just woke up, getting in the shower.
So you have to have
Yeah,
the
you-
the
You know-
patience and the experience.
It's funny. There was some years ago, I was on a trotro, and this guy
Oh, no.
answers his phone, and he's like, "Yes, yes, I'm there. You don't see me. I'm waving my hand. You don't see me. I'm there. You don't see me. Let me move to the side. You don't see me now. Oh, I don't know why you don't see me." And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, the line's going off. The line's going off." Then
Oh, he's still on the,
you are
still on
in
the
a
road.
trotro telling the guy you are there waving your hands.
The experience to translate.
yeah, yep,
Yes.
exactly.
Oh, it's so funny.
I mean, it's peculiar
Yeah,
when
and-
you show up on time.
Yeah.
And-
I think I'm
Yeah. And because we deal with a lot of the expats and diasporas, when they say 9 o'clock,
They mean
they mean
8:55.
8:55. And so having my staff get to that point where, hey, we're going to start at 8 o'clock, and they show up at 8:30, and I'm like, great, because we're leaving at 9. So they're picking up on, okay, the boss is getting us here early, so we're not late. But
It's
yeah, that
definitely
was
a process.
a challenge. That took me a
Yes.
while to understand the time thing here, that nobody's in a hurry.
Nobody's in a hurry.
in a hurry.
It's in a hurry.
At all. They'll come when they come. I remember my aunts, even one time we were walking somewhere, and I was like, the other thing is distance. People don't give you like the real distance. So it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, it's just over here, so we'll walk. And we're walking, and we're walking, and I'm like, you said it's just over here, so I thought it was close. Oh, it's not far. And you're still walking. Oh, we'll be there soon. And I'm just like,
We're half hour into this walk.
Yeah,
I
it
get
is,
it.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I get it.
yeah. So 4 years later, what are some of the highlights of your 4-year experience? Because one thing I have to commend you about is the way that you break things down for people on your channel. If you're not following their channel, go to ExpatLifeGhana on YouTube and follow their channel. They give so much detail. Sometimes I watch YouTube, I'm like, hey, where did they get that information from? I'm like, I didn't even know that information. They'll be breaking it down. We went to this place, and this is what you had to do, and you had to get the documentation. They told you to do this, but no.
Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
So I have to commend you
Yeah.
on that.
Thank you.
So 4 years later, what are the highlights?
what are the highlights?
Hmm.
I don't know. How do you? What
I
are
think
the
my highlight
highlights?
for me is I've been adopted. There's
Okay,
a family, the Angola family in Abri, we started doing naming ceremonies with the tour group. So they were like, "Yeah, we never did this before, so we feel like you should be the first one to go through the naming ceremony with us." So I did that, and uh, Yefreme Nana Kwabana Dodu.
Nana Kwabena Dodu.
Yes. So I've been given a new name, and about every week I go up there. About once or twice a month, I might, spend the
He's
night
up
up
there
there.
all the time.
But I'm helping. If you saw the TV show, the naming ceremony. I don't know if it's, you
that
saw
the Kellys went through.
How about the first episode where the chief and queen mother was
Yes,
there? Yeah, that's
yes.
from a brief.
Okay,
So
that's them.
we do the welcoming at the
Okay.
airport with
Okay.
them.
Okay.
We do the naming ceremonies with them. So I've been adopted up there, and I go up there, and oh no, they see me, and they're like they know who I am up there, and it's a beautiful thing because I feel like I'm a Timber boy, but I can go to a Bree and I get
does.
the same love.
That's nice.
So that's my highlight is as much as I'm embraced for all the things that we do in Timma, I go to a Bree and it's the same love. So that's my highlight is I can when I'm tired of Timma, I can go up to the mountains.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's my highlight.
That's nice. That's nice.
Now you're gonna find out how we're different.
Yes.
So I think for me, the highlight is definitely multi-layered. Seeing him stand in his blackness in a different way has been really, like, I enjoy that for him. Like, I enjoy it through him. And I think because I grew up in an African household with, a white mother, like, we didn't talk about race as a thing. We always were prideful no matter what. So, like, I didn't have the same experience as Tony. And to see you now get to have this place where you get to the blackness is royal within you and not burdensome. That has been awesome.
Yeah.
And then also to see how that between the two of us translates to our kids. So how they now possess themselves in a different kind of way that they just couldn't in the US. So that to me is just like But then for myself, it's just, I think having the space now to do the things that I've always been passionate about and having that room. Like, I just finished my first book. I'm so excited. I'm going to print just after the new year. So like,
that's exciting.
Yeah, so just like,
what's the title?
it is Teaching with AI. The PEACE framework is all about how to incorporate AI with inquiry-based learning to build 21st century skills in students who are going to have to work with the technology that's here already.
Yeah.
But there's just this idea of having space, not getting caught up in all the things that mommies and wives and 9-to-5s suck up everything. So there's nothing left. So that's been really, for me, that's been really rewarding. So I mean, it's kind of like, as a holistic group, we're all having this elevated experience. That's joy.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I can talk loud in public and don't worry about eyes on me. Like, hey, why is that black man so loud over there? Hey, I'm Ghanaian, man. I'm just telling you how good the club is, Yeah, so it's been, when I'm not in Ghana and I wake up, it's always weird because I wake up to the sweeping sound every morning. 5:30, the neighbors out sweeping. So,
it's like the sounds of Africa.
You wake up and you hear that and you're just happy. That's a sound that I associate with Ghana, that sweeping sound. It's like, yeah, that's home. Small things like that, just, hearing the guy yell pineapple, pap, pap, hearing that, there's things here that, like, oh man, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. It's just,
right.
Or the tapping, the guy with the clink, 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 clink.
Yes,
he does,
and then the nail cutter, like, they all have their own sounds.
Yes, they do have their own sounds.
Yeah.
Those are all sounds of
the sounds of Ghana.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do a video on that one day. Just play the sound, and can you guess it?
Yeah. And I mean, and those sounds are so common, and you get used to it at a certain time of day that when it's missing something, something's
wrong. Right.
Yeah, because that actually happened where, like, there was a lady who used to cross by my gate every day, and you hear her walking by, pear, pawpaw, mango, pear, pawpaw, mango, and I was like, she hasn't come by in a few weeks. What's going on? What's going on? So I found out she got sick. And
Oh no.
she passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, I was shocked and I was sad.
It's like a part of your everyday life.
Yeah,
Because I don't even know where she lives to even say I'm going to go and pay my condolences to the family or anything, because I don't know where she lives. I just know she
walks by
every day
Yeah.
between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. and she's selling her
That's
fruit.
like our Beaufort lady.
I know.
Relocated across the street, but she's just off a little bit into.
We never saw it. We never saw.
We
her.
never saw.
So
where
we went
she
looking
moved.
for her. We kept driving by
We
to
drive
check
by,
for her. We're
looking,
looking, and then
And then it was like a year
Before you found
Found
her.
her
before
across the
she was
street.
just across the street.
we look for her
Oh,
all
wow.
the time. Like sometimes we would just be like, I just
We
miss
just
her
drive
so
around,
much.
just looking,
It's
just
like,
drive around looking.
She's across the street.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, we.
But it's so much about it's
Yeah.
so your community is so different when you're here. So that element of the fruit stand person and the lady who sells the vegetables and the person that you go to when you want to refill your glove
Yeah,
and the drink lady and the warehouse.
lady.
Like your community is built of all of these different little micro relationships. I never went to Walmart and had a relationship with my cashier or so you're
Mhm.
the entire experience again it can't be quantified in some easy tangible way. Like it's coming here and hearing the pineapple lady and going to see the salad lady and getting eggs from the egg lady.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the different kind of life that you get to enjoy.
Yeah, and even Leo goes and buys the bread, and they expect, oh, where's Leo?
I
They
know.
expect that they come.
I went to buy it, and they were like, "Where?" And I was like, "Oh, can I not come? You don't want me to come to buy the bread, but."
So it's
Yeah.
it's wow. When you think about, I think about the past 4 years. I can't wait to see what's coming, and you see all the development happening here in Ghana. I'm just the future of Ghana is so bright. I'm just glad to be a part of it. To see something growing around you that you're part of, that you're actually helping.
Yeah.
That's a feeling. That's a feeling. I love it.
I'm curious to know, have any of your family members in the U.S. made the trip here?
Ooh. Family members. I got a lot of family members, but no. We're expecting to receive my first couple of family members next year, but no.
He is having a friends and family tour in May. So he set aside May to have a friends and family tour. There's a few family members who are like, okay, that's when I'm going to come. And then some people who are not family yet, but they will be soon because they're coming for friends and family. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
What are their thoughts on you living here the last few years? Because I know sometimes there's people who are like, I can't believe that they're living in Africa.
Yeah. I think, my family knows as long as I'm with her, well, you can forget it. He's good. Whatever they're doing, you'll hear about it. It's going to be something spectacular or something like that. So I think since Ayo and I have been together, there's been like, I left my home city and we've traveled, moved to a couple different cities together, and we've done new things, and over the years that people were like, okay, that's different for you guys, and so I think they've come to expect that we're just people who want to experience happiness in life. And if it's her happiness, I'm there to back it. If it's my happiness, she's there to back it. So no family members yet, but they know, hey, he's good.
They watch us on the channel.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. And the Fridays on our lives, they'll chime in and say, hey, missing you.
Yeah.
Soon I'm coming. Yeah, right. We heard that. But I think for me, family is more of who I see here. I still got my relatives there. I love them. I'll see them someday again.
Friends and family tour.
I think really it's like personal growth time, and making sure my little boys know, because I was challenged by Pop to bring his grandsons here so they know their heritage, their culture. So for me, that was a challenge because I had to teach them something I didn't know. So we're all learning this together. So I think I'm just more focused on my boys. And,
Still family.
Yeah, still family.
Yeah.
I talk to my family all the time there, but a little chicken yet.
I think there is a lot of trepidation for people when they think about doing this. It's like, how will I leave my family behind? And even for me, my mom is still stateside. She's getting older. And I always think about that, like, am I missing? I talk to my mom all the
Every
time,
day,
video
every
chat,
day,
and just the way
every day.
technology has allowed us to stay connected now.
Yes,
It's
it
so
does.
different than it
Yeah,
ever
it is
was
so
before.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even told her, I was like, when we lived in Texas, I saw you less when I lived in the States than I see you now that I live abroad, because, we're just all the time. And so
Mhm.
I know keeping relationships is definitely something that is in the forefront for people, but just consider the relationship that you have with yourself and what you want that to look like, the relationship that you have with your significant other and your children. Like, how can you craft something that allows everybody to make personal gains instead of just letting you be stuck because you feel like you're obligated?
Yeah.
I can't imagine if we had like decided that we were obligated to stay,
In the States,
even if we decided we were obligated to stay in Wisconsin, like all
I'd
those
be
years ago.
miserable.
Yeah, we would just be like, it just would be.
Yeah.
You guys lived in Wisconsin?
We
Yeah.
did,
I was
and it was
born
a
and
big.
raised, Yeah.
Oh, that's where you were born and raised,
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it was like a
That's
big
what we
deal
do
to
today.
move to Texas. Was like this huge.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of thought we were nuts when we did that.
Mhm. And then they all started moving to Texas.
You wanted to escape the Wisconsin winter.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
don't miss that. I don't miss that. We could
That
be
was
scraping
really
windshields.
something. They're like, dude, you're moving to Texas? Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I got family in Texas,
Yeah.
there in Louisiana. But the Wisconsin were, I can't believe you're moving to Texas. Then they're all starting to move to Texas. So give them another couple of years, they'll be moving to Ghana. Who knows? After January,
Yeah.
maybe
so,
sooner than later.
Right. So you two may have probably had the same experience I've had, that as soon as the U.S. election finished, I got so many people in my DMs asking
the
how can
emails.
they come to Ghana.
Yeah.
And then with the citizenship ceremony that happened on the 19th of November, when that happened also, additional people were like,
Yes.
oh my God, I
We
see
need
what's
that.
happening
We
in
need that.
Ghana.
Yes.
We want to come. We want to come.
Yeah. The same thing that happened to you happened to us. The DMs blew up, the emails blew up, and you're like, whoa, people are really concerned. Can I give somebody a shout out?
You can.
Okay.
As long as they're comfortable being shouted out on camera.
Oh, it's our friend Gerald,
Okay.
but he hangs out at Sun City all the time now. And I used to go to Sun City once in a while.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, Gerald's there at Sun City. This used to be my hangout spot. So, I mean, they're coming, finding out where the locals hang out. He's living like a local. He isn't in one of the gated communities where
Right.
the diasporas go. He's living like a local here, and they're embracing him for that. So I was just impressed by his willingness to come and just be ready for whatever's coming. He laughs about the doom source back now.
Yeah.
So he's like, man, I didn't know what to expect, but now I do.
Now you
and,
do.
okay, I'm a pro at it now. I got my lanterns and the battery packs and all that now. So he's like, yeah, I know how to do it now. It's like, oh, great.
Well, I think what's really interesting in the whole conversation, especially in this post-election cycle, is really a conversation about what is the unsaid narrative about your place in the hierarchy of America. What's the unsaid story about how you fit in? And is that what you thought? And is that what you accept? And I think what is so appealing about Ghana, there's a couple different things, but first, that you can come as an English speaker and not have to learn another language is huge.
Yeah.
The fact that you are just 6 hours ahead means that, it's not like you're 12 hours, you're on the other side of the world from home, and that you can get on a plane, and United and Delta are running direct flights to US every single day. So you can...
United wouldn't do you like Delta, though.
You're doing like a promo.
that United and Delta.
We're trying to pick up United as a sponsor since they fly to Ghana 7 times a week now.
They up from
62% from previous flying.
Wow.
Up from 3 times a week to 7 now.
And do you know
election?
Do you know when they did that?
It
The
shows
week
you
after the election.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So if there's daily flights, you can get back. It's so easy to get back and forth. The flight pattern is simple to do. The visa process of getting here for your 90 is easy. They are doing visa on arrival there for the holidays. You can speak English when you get here. It's easy to exchange money. Like there's all these little barriers that make it so easy for people to come. And I think that's part of the hype, is that we've seen so many Ghanaians go to the US and they go and they build lives and they have that presence, but so many of them also come back, or at least visit back. And you see that return, the desire to return says something about the place itself. And then all those little pieces of like why it's so easy to be here, I think is part of kind of that like whole conversation. So now you kind of had this moment where you're like, huh? Are you, what are my options? That works, that's easy. And then you see people having the feelings. It just, it serves it up for you. I've had a lot of, I just got back from a speaking tour in the US and I did. And
congrats.
Thank you. And I had a lot of people who would come after. And I always thought it was so funny because like you don't want to say anything in front of everyone, but they'd come later and be like, tell me again about this Ghana thing. Like, how do I get there? So just the conversations are really helpful.
Ghana's it.
Ghana is it.
And
it doesn't have to be it. You have lots of options.
Yes, you have options. When I say Ghana's it, what I mean is, I don't mean it's the be all and end all, but it has become a place that people can use as a place for change, for healing, for self-discovery, for understanding culture, for understanding humanity. It's become a place that people have really taken as it's like the beacon of a leader in cultural. What's the word I'm looking for? A leader in.
It's just that bridge. The bridge is so easy to cross. I think it's just so easy for you to stand here in Ghana and say, I want to connect to the culture and the heritage and have that experience, or I want to connect to the spiritual, or I want to connect with the diasporan community, or I want to feel like I still have my Western access even though I'm here. There's so many opportunities for you to make those connections that it's like you can choose the experience. And not to say that other countries don't have that, but I don't know that they have it in so many directions.
Ghana is leading the way in it because the truth of the matter is other countries have been trying to figure out how Ghana
is doing it.
The diaspora the way they have. Other countries have sent delegations to Ghana to try to find out how did Ghana do it. So, I mean, I have had people reach out to me from the Gambia about how we did the year of return and get people to come, and someone else reached out to me from Kenya, same thing. So people they're really looking and like, what did Ghana do that we can also do?
We were invited to, I think, a place in Kenya, one of their diaspora summits or something like that. And I was all on board for it. They were like, so when can we expect you? I'm like, oh, hold on a second. We thought you were inviting us to come, but I don't have the ticket money for that.
Right.
But they were interested in, hey, we've been watching you guys. We'd like, come and speak here. Now's not the time, but the other African countries are paying attention. Ghana is the gateway to Africa. So whatever you thought about Africa, you can find it. You want to find bush living? You can find that. You want to find, 5-star luxury living? You can find that as well. Anything in between.
I know, beach life, mountain life, dry life, savannah life, lush life, forest life. What do you want?
So that's hard to replicate. I think Ghana with the coast.
It's just has so many. I mean,
you just throw a rock and you're at a beautiful resort. And
there's just so many options.
Yeah, it's just everything is here. I love it.
And so many different vibes that you can just kind of find the one that makes sense and speaks to you.
For you.
Yeah.
Like Tama. I couldn't imagine living any place else.
We talk about it all the time. We're like, where would we move instead?
No.
Close enough to a crowd, but far enough away. You just be in your own little corner.
Yep. It still has that like organized kind of feel that it feels like.
But small enough still. Oh, I love that.
Hopefully it sticks like this a little while.
And they say it's the center of the world.
Yes, it is.
Meridian 00.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So it's great. Thank you two for spending the time with me today.
It's been great.
It's been really good.
It's been great.
Yeah. And follow them. ExpatLifeGhana. They do tours. I'm also going to be doing tours soon too.
Oh, a competition.
I mean, we'll have different groups. I mean, everybody has who connects with them,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's so
Okay.
much room in this.
There is, yeah.
So much room in this space,
Mhm.
you know. So Expat Life Ghana, you can follow them on Instagram as well, but you're more active on YouTube.
Yes, we're most active on YouTube.
Yeah. So talk in the comments, put in the comments. I'll put in the description box where how you can reach them if you want to reach out to them. If you're looking to do any tours or anything. Maybe Tony can pick you up at the airport.
Yeah, the way it's
With
going.
his drummers, with the drummers and the Queen Mother.
Yeah, do the royal
welcome.
Yeah.
And if you have access, you can go to the HBO Max streaming platform and watch Coming from America and see them on there and see the experiences that they had and the other families as well who are on the show too, the experiences they had.
And if you're going to be in Ghana this December, the 27th, we are having the official Diaspora in December throwback party. So if you like 70s, 80s, 90s music, early 2000s, it's a dance party. I think there's going to be a dance competition, a step competition or something like that. So, if you're coming for Dirty December, Tima's the place to be.
And where exactly is it going to be?
It's the Greens Lounge in Community 9 right here in Tima. It is the newly renovated Greens Lounge.
Oh, they've renovated it.
Oh, you have to see it.
I haven't been in about maybe 2 or 3 months.
Oh, I was there
Just
Friday.
They
it
just
has
had
the
their
brand
opening
new
party.
smell. Everything is brand new in there. You walk in, you're like, oh, everything's new. You can smell it.
Wow.
That was just Friday. They just had their grand opening.
Yeah, it is. I can't say enough about the place.
Yep.
Go check it out.
If you want tickets, expatlifeghana.com/throwback.
You heard it from home. Don't miss the party.
Don't miss
Don't
the
miss
party.
I think somebody might pop up.
It depends on the date.
27th.
Friday.
Why is everybody doing
everything's on the
27th?
27th.
Why
Yeah.
is everybody doing everything on the 27th?
I know.
There's so much happening on the same day.
And they're trying to squeeze everything in.
I
Yeah, it's at night.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to squeeze
It's
so
all
much
night.
in.
Yeah. So I have a couple of other events that I committed to on the same date. So when I finish those, because I live in Tema,
you're
I'll come
right
back,
down the
and
street.
then
We're gonna have
Tema,
our
then go
bus.
home.
Our bus will
The
be
next morning.
going back and forth, so we'll get you home. Yeah.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Ivy, it was a pleasure seeing you
Yes,
again.
you too.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to